think it's EIGSI La Rochelle. Come on, let's go.
Okay.
Boy group. Are you a boys' school? No, you're not. Are you a boys' school? No. No, okay. I'm just asking.
Hi. First of all, thank you very much for being there and having us in front of you today. As engineering students, as European engineering students, we are deeply convinced that digital sovereignty is an important point in our society. So I was talking about that one day with my little brother, and he told me, I don't really mind about what is done with my data or my personal information. I don't think I can do anything about it, and neither can Europe. We think that is linked to the fact that Europe does not manage to keep its talents and its territory and its fields of expertise on its territory. Let's take an example. China, Hong Kong, and Macau own around 10% of all EU companies controlled by non-EU actors. This percentage is up to 30% for USA and Canada. So, what do? According to Commissioner Vestager, the openness of our market is our greatest asset. But openness comes with fairness. So is it too late for European citizens? Well, we don't think so. And developing technological effervescence within the EU might be a solution.
In order to develop new technologies and effectively use the potential, we have identified the relevant services to reinforce that will act as catalysts. The first one is to increase the percentage of Erasmus exchange programs for young entrepreneurs. Moreover, we should put the focus of these programs on gaining knowledge on new technologies. This will create a large set of trained entrepreneurs on technologies whose innovation is led by cities or countries different from students' origin. The second one is the intensification of the European cluster policy in order to create competitiveness poles on precise subjects at the European scale. The cluster's development should focus on the 3 technological fields that we have identified as critical for European numerical sovereignty.
The first one are infrastructures. I'll take the example of quantum computing. We must develop quantum computers to pave the way for new applications in simulation, cryptography, machine learning, and others. Second, we have data tools, such as auto machine learning, explainable AI, big model. They must be deployed to provide to our companies with flexible, trustworthy, and effective AI tools. Third and last, we have industry empowering technologies, like the combinations of IoT with robotics, numeric twins with AI, blockchain, and others. These would unlock the potential of the European industry and enable it to be competitive on a global scale. That being said, we must bear in mind that technology alone isn't everything. It must be enabled by policies, by new standards, it must be secured, and by European-wide programs, it must be shared. Thank you. We're open to your questions.
Well, I think what you focused in terms of, 3 technological pillars that we need to focus on, nobody will disagree. We've been talking about it really for years now, and there's budget committed. The countries stand behind it in EU. What do you think today is hindering us to really progress on that?
Well, I'll take the example of explainable AI, which was, I think, I thought about it during the precedent presentation. If we want to, AI is omnipresent and we need it, but to be in accordance with the European standards in terms of privacy, human rights, respect, and others, we need to be able to explain our AI. So it's really, I think, mandatory to work on such technologies.
So you think it's the regulation that's hindering quicker progress?
Maybe not regulations, but it's more the values that we share, that we have in Europe, and that we want to, that are our values. So for this to be in accordance with this value, we need explainable AI, for example. The others I mentioned are more for global performance, like auto machine learning and big models are really to be up to speed with the global competitivity.
To be competitive.
Yeah, the other actors. Did it answer your question?
Thanks.
I really liked your idea of Erasmus for entrepreneurs. I don't know whether that's feasible, whether you can actually do that, but maybe in some situations it is. But I feel that as a scientist, I feel a little bit constrained, yeah, because the general idea you gave is to kind of keep the talent here and keep the people in Europe. And I wonder, is this really the goal, or would it be rather something of reciprocity, where we say, well, if we exchange talent and also funding, we would expect kind of the same. Yeah, I just wonder. I'm really interested in that, because I think 10 years ago we would have a very different discussion and say we want to participate, we want to exchange knowledge and be also present in the big hubs. So wouldn't you also want to go over to the Silicon Valley at some point for some time, spend some time there, come back? What's about this introductory statement like keep our talent and our resources in Europe? Isn't that something even against the European idea, where we said actually we want to have exchanges between Germany, France and the other states?
Yeah, sure. So concerning the program for Erasmus for young entrepreneurs, there is already an organism, and the system is like there is a new entrepreneurs that can go to another European country and is mentored and coached by a more experienced entrepreneur. And although it is an extremely useful service, in the statistic reports from 2017, it is written that on the new entrepreneurs that go, only 39% have gained knowledge on new technologies. And I think that the main idea with this program is to simultaneously build a strong European spirit and to have an ecosystem of SMEs whose technological knowledge has been built by sharing information among European countries. But of course, we cannot limit ourselves to Europe, and although the mobilities to European countries should be favorized, it should not be limited to that.
If I may add something, I think we have pretty much everything we need in Europe about talents, about fields of expertise, and we see more and more companies getting bought out by Chinese companies or American companies. Of course, exchanging information is key for us to develop, but we need to focus, I think, more in European countries. We have everything we need. We have the technicians, the engineers. We have all the knowledge we need through internet. So we should first focus on developing the connections between European countries, and then maybe face the rest of the world.
And actually, I'd like to comment on that, not so much of a question. In terms of climate change, we very often talk about limiting travel, but which, well, I understand in terms of emission, but I see the argument very strong that in order to keep world peace, which I think is more important than ever, people need to know each other personally across cultures. And that happens when you go to a country to visit, maybe for a holiday. And once you know the country, you know the people, you are much more open to start business relationships and maybe more hesitant to attack them in a war. And I think to have this kind of mindset is not only important inside Europe, so that the French and Germans are friends, but it's really a global approach. And to share a personal insight, my family is German Argentinian, So I see, especially for our son, I really want them to grow up in the two cultures, especially because it's in two continents. And I see so much value in a society that sees that on a global scale, no matter from which country we're from, which religion we believe in, if we do believe in a religion, and so on, that we see each other as humans. And so, as coming from that type of thinking, I see the point, that we need to know about the capabilities we have in Europe and what we can be proud of and where we're good at. Coming back to the presentation from before, what are our USPs in Europe? But I think we shouldn't, even on a European scale, not to be nationalistic on Europe. We should kind of strengthen this global mindset, especially in terms of technology, digital technology, that doesn't not only end at a company's frontier, but doesn't end at a European borders either. No? So I think in terms of digital, it's important to know who we are, what we're good at, what we stand for, but to kind of have this open global mindset.
I completely agree, and especially in scientific research and research in general, sharing, and we talk about open source these days, it's very pregnant. So yeah, sharing with all around the world, I think, is really important, like you said. I think the idea is to, before going to the world, tightening the link between European countries, having this exchange really strong within Europe, and then it will go all over the world, and it will be much more effective, I think, if we already have this in Europe. So it's not doing it in Europe, then to the world. It's in the same time. But it nourishes itself. It progresses in the same time.
Yeah.
Thank you.